Okay, here's how you do a slip knot. So for definition, this end here is called our tail, and the rest of our yarn that is still attached to our skein is considered the working yarn. So I'm going to start by holding my tail across my hands and wrap the working end around. Now I want very specifically for this yarn to cross over. So my working yarn is in the back of this loop. I'm going to take my hook and I am going to put it under the first loop, and it's going to grab the second strand and pull it through. Now, leave that loop on your hook and you can pull your fingers out. Now this is our loop. So to tighten it, we're just going to pull from both ends. We're going to pull the tail and the working end on this side and leave the loop on our hook. Now to close this loop, to adjust it for size, we're going to pull from the working end of the yarn and it's going to slide right up. There you go. There is your slip knot to begin. Okay, so now that we have our slip knot, we need to work a few chain stitches. A chain stitch is where we are going to yarn on, and pull it through our loop. That's it. We're going to yarn on and pull it through our loop. You'll notice that my hook is going underneath of my strand. This particular technique is called a yarn over because the yarn is going over your hook, and then you pull it right through your loop. A couple of things to note: if you have your hook pointing straight up and you find that your yarn is slipping off of it, just like this, once you've yarned over, you may want to turn your hook to where it is, this little hook spot is pointing at the teardrop shape at the bottom of our loop. That way they line up and it'll go through a little easier and your yarn is locked onto your hook well. There you go. This is the chain stitch. Okay, so now that we've got the chain stitch, the next logical thing to learn is the single crochet stitch. So in order to do that, we are going to skip this very first stitch here on the end, because if we try to go through that and pull yarn through again, it's just gonna come back through and become a tangled mess, right? So we're gonna skip this one entirely, and we are going to go into the top loop of this next chain. You can see what I'm talking about here. It's got a V shape here. All right, and I'm just going to put my hook, after I tighten this loop to be about the size of my hook's barrel, we are going to insert our hook into that next chain. I'm going to yarn over again, just like we did with the chain stitch. Now this time I am going to only pull it underneath that first loop that we went under. Now I have 2 loops on my hook. I am going to yarn over one more time and pull it through 2. Let me show you that one more time. So here's the chain that we just worked into. Now we're going to work into this next one. I am going to insert my hook under the top loop. I am going to yarn over, pull it through. I now have 2 loops on my hook. I am going to yarn over again and pull through both loops. Now this is called the single crochet stitch, and that is very basically the act of yarning on, yarn on again, and pull through 2 loops from your hook. right, there you go. There is your row of single crochet.